Hey, good morning and welcome back to Richmond Woodworks. Now, those with a keen eye will probably see that I'm not in the workshop right now, and I'm actually in my camper van, or my self-converted camper van actually. And what we're doing today is a new project, and we all know that age-old saying that every new project is a great excuse to buy a new tool. And today is definitely no exception because I'm off to buy a new drill press. And I've had my Carbotech one for quite some time and it's served its purpose, but it's belt driven and I want to get something direct driven. So there's a Nova Viking, which I've been eyeing off for quite some time. Alrighty, just got out of Carbotech and I have my brand new toy, which I'm very excited to put together when I get back to the workshop. But in the meantime, quick little pit stop because we've got to go to Bunnings to get some material to put this little cabinet together. So let's go do that. Coolio, back in the car, driving back to the workshop, and I have the drill press, I have some building materials with me, and I have everything I need for this weekend's project. So next time you see me, I'll be unloading a very heavy box from the car and taking it through to the workshop. So see you all soon. Okie dokie, let's have a look at what you get in the box. So as you saw, you see the drill press base just behind me here, and also the drill press table. That's all in the box, as including one of the lights. You get the handles, you get some nuts and bolts, you get some Allen keys and a wrench, you get a stop block, you get a handle, you get the main chuck, and you get the Morse taper drill chuck. There you go. So these two go together, and what you need to do, you just bang it in. So, and finally, actually almost forgot, the first time ever I have gotten a tool that included a USB cable that's for the workshop, which is just so strange. My drill press has USB. Anyway, that's primarily so you can plug it into a computer and update the firmware. Now, next step is to start assembling it. Now, I'm going to be having a look through the user manual just because I want to get across it, and also I plan to do a review later on because from my luck, the user manuals from a lot of tool manufacturers have never been really good. So let's have a look at what this one's like. Cool, so before we start absolutely assembling the entire thing, what we need to do is wipe off some of that factory grease. And you can do that just using some WD-40. I like to use gloves because I love the smell of oil as much as the next person, but I don't really want to smell it while I'm trying to go to bed at night time too. And just having some paper towels or shop towels is quite handy as well, just to wipe everything off. If you don't have that, just use like a plain old t-shirt or rag, whatever you have laying about. So call me odd or weird, but I do like the smell of the factory oil. It's almost like that new car smell. It's that new tool smell as well. So let's get this thing out and then wipe off some of that oil. And there we go. Now we just need to do it for the rest of the parts. So let's get straight to it. Right, yeah, so next step is to put the base on, and what you get is a bag of bolts and some washers and some spring washers as well. So I thought about maybe taking it out of the box and try to wrangle it upright, but I think what I might do, what I've done here, is just put it on the edge of the box, I'll attach the base and then lift it up out of the box itself, move the box out of the way, and then I can maneuver the machine itself around. So let's break my back trying to maneuver this thing after the base is on, hey? Let's get to it. Rightio, so now what we need to do is we need to assemble the arbor tongue as well as the drill chuck as well. So what I forgot to do before was actually clean off the grease off it. So taking my gloves off already and I can't be really bothered putting them back on. So let's just deal with the smell. Shouldn't be too bad. That's the chuck. Now let's do the arbor tongue. I really do like that grease smell, the machine smell that comes with it. It's really good. Anyway, let's get on with it. Cool, ready to go. So now what we do, you have the arbor tongue, so you have this little notch you can see just there, and that needs to go out. You have the chuck, it needs to go in like this. Easy as that. And then what you need to do is just get a little mallet, lightly tap it on the end just to make sure it seats in, just so it doesn't fall apart when you start using it. And what you'll probably find after you drill the first few times, everything will start squeezing and sealing exactly into where it needs to sit, or seating into where it needs to go. So let's just find a mallet, do some light taparoos, and then we can call this step done and we'll move on to the next one. Next job is pretty straightforward. We have 3 handles. We just need to screw them in to the drive. So personally, I only really like to use one handle and I leave the other 2 off, just because I find sometimes the handles get in the way. But I'll put all 3 in there just so it looks pretty. Cool, almost at the end. Now we just need to put this chuck and the arbor into the shaft itself. So you have that little slit there, or that little notch, and what you can actually do is just rotate it around, and where it goes click up a little bit, that's where it's actually slotted in. Now you do need another little mallet. I just got my little small one, and a few short sharp taps. Make sure that this thing actually goes up. Now you don't need to really drive it in, because like I said, as you kind of use it more and more, it'll naturally just start seating into place, as it should anyway. Now let's get on to the next step. Now this next step for you might be a little bit different than it is for me, because I have an existing drill press, which is perfectly fine and workable, and here's that single arm you can see that I like to use. But I've just decided to upgrade my existing belt-driven drill press to one of those direct drives. So next thing I need to do here, you might not have to do this. I literally have to take everything apart here, take this heavy drill press off to put that even heavier drill press on top of here. So let's do that now, and you can all watch me struggle away. So let's get to it. Wow, and the new one is a lot heavier as well, because it has a 1 horsepower motor. The other one only has a 3/4. Whew. I think I need a break from that. Anyway, I want to see if I can actually lift this thing, and if not, I might try to get my neighbor to give me a hand. All right, feeling strong. And that's why you don't skip leg day. Right, yeah, so next what we need to do is attach this table, and according to the instructions, it says to check it over for cracks, just in case it's kind of warped or done something in transport. This one's pretty good by the looks of it, so definitely check yours. And also, if I were you and you're buying the same one, check that you actually have the insert plate, because I can't find mine anywhere, and I don't think it actually came with one. And usually what I do when I'm in the car park, especially this time because I bought it at Carpetech in the store and not just getting it delivered, I usually open the box up and make sure all the parts there, so you don't have to drive, you know, an hour or whatever it might be back and forth just to get a $2 or $3 part. But luckily I have a 3D printer. This thing's a pretty easy circle to make, so I'm just going to 3D print it, and when I do design it, I'll add it in the description below. So if you also buy one of these and you have a 3D printer and you want to print out some of these inserts, you can do it yourself as well. It's pretty easy. Make sure that that little screw is undone, because there's a little clamp that clamps it down, so you can rotate it around. It's actually good because it just has enough clearance. I like when things are engineered very well. And then what you can do is just clamp that down, and then it stops it from moving around. What I generally like to do is just leave everything a little bit finger tight, except for anything that's not required for like structural integrity, like those bolts were below. So otherwise this thing will be, you know, waving all over the place. So those ones are done and cinched fully tight, but I always like to leave everything a little bit loose, just in case there's any movements and you need to adjust things in a micro manner or something like that. But this thing's good to go. So let's get on to the next step. So next step is to install the chuck guard, and if you're in the EU, Australia, New Zealand, or in the UK, this thing comes as a standard, because I suspect there might be some kind of legal things required to have a safety mechanism, at least to guard your hands and your everything else against this thing spinning at however many revolutions per minute you might have it set on. And if you're in the US, it doesn't look like it's covered under the same law or legislation, so this thing might be an extra you might have to purchase if you want one if you're in the US. Sorry guys. And it also looks like there's like an electronic cable which plugs into the side over here, and it looks like if you look inside closely there's a limiting switch. And what I suspect, we'll find out soon enough, what I suspect that that limiting switch will engage or not. And what I think, the machine may not even start until this thing's in place. And if you have a look at my old Carpetech chuck guard as well, that actually broke pretty easy. So if this thing breaks and it doesn't work without it being engaged, I think I'm going to be quite annoyed. But anyway, let's attach this. All you need is a 5mm Allen key, and we just put this up, cinch down the clamp, and it's good to go. And then we'll just plug in that electrical cable on the side there. So let's do that now. Cool, so that was pretty easy to put on. Let's get on to the next step. Cool, almost there at the end. We just need to attach the little handle onto the shaft, and the shaft is actually a circle with a little slice in it. So what you need to do is there's a little Allen keys either side, and depending on where you want the handle oriented, what you need to do is just use, I think it's a 3mm Allen key, and just cinch that up, and make sure when you cinch up that Allen key, it's on that flat side of the shaft. Otherwise, what you'll find is it'll just rotate around when you're really trying to crank it. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Right, and one of the final steps is and I think it's great that I actually included it, because I found that the Carpetech one for that chuck key, what I had to do was literally just grab magnets, put them on the side, and this chuck key just stuck to the side, and that was great, and it worked for a long time. But it actually gives you a specific place in order to mount a chuck key, because it has a little holder there as well. But the instructions don't actually tell you where to put it, which is kind of annoying. because it took me probably about 20 minutes to find a little, what looks like maybe 4mm or 3mm screw hole in this entire machine, to find it just there on the collar that holds and stops the table going up and down. So let's attach that now. And if you're watching this and you work for the Nova company, please just update your instructions with this, because it just took way too long. So I do like the fact that it has a little area for the chucks. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I think we are pretty much done. There's nothing really left outstanding. So let's turn that on and hope it doesn't explode. And everyone's favorite part, or at least mine anyway, is peeling off that little bit of plastic on the screen or something. That's nice. Wow. There you go. And to be honest, this thing kind of took me for a little bit of a ride, because I thought it was on before, but it wasn't plugged in. So I went, wow, does it have a battery or something? Anyway, stupid me. Let's plug it in and set it all up. All right, let's turn it on for the first time. Pretty cool. It works. Now, I really need to read the instructions to work out how to use it. Cool, so I won't go through absolutely every single setting. I can leave that all up to you. But essentially what you have here is you have your on, you have your off, you have your emergency stop, which is really good button to have right there. And you can set your depth, which is pretty sweet. So you can say, I want to stop it, just say at 5mm. Set it, confirm, and then we'll turn this thing on, and it starts beeping as you're getting closer as well. And as soon as you hit that depth, it starts going into reverse, which is pretty sweet. Now the thing that it doesn't do, which is kind of annoying, I wish the mechanism was actually locked to the depth gauge and it'll actually stop you going any further, because it's actually reliant on you keeping a very, very close eye on exactly what that depth was. So it's 5mm I set it to. But at the moment, if you're really trying to be precise, I accidentally set it to 5.5 or just pulled it to 5.5. So just be mindful that that might happen when you're using it. Now the next setting, which is pretty cool, is self-start, which is pretty sweet. So that essentially means as soon as you pull on it, it starts going, which is nice little feature, I think. So you don't have to push the on button to make it go. And then also, when you go back up, it stops, which is a nice thing, a nice little feature. You don't have to push that big off button. And just like any really good high-end drill press like this one, you have a light and a laser. So it has like a bit of a beam, and the light is actually really, really good. I know that the Carbotech one that I had before, great drill press, but the light was not very good. So I found that there were certain situations where you just need a little bit of extra light, and all I did was clamp a little LED light, which you just plug into the wall next to it, and that provided all the light that I needed there. And then finally, you have your revolutions per minute. So because this is a direct drive, you don't need to adjust those belts anymore and do mathemagic anymore. And to be honest, and I was chatting to the team at Carbotech about this earlier just today as well, is that what tends to happen, and definitely add it in the comments because I am absolutely one of these. I think I've had my Carbotech drill press for almost 3 years. I've never once changed the belt into a different RPM. I know we all should, depending on the type of material and all that kind of stuff like that we're drilling into. But the reality is I've never done it, and I suspect a lot of you haven't either. Correct me if I'm wrong, please do, but this is a really cool feature because all you need to do is just up the RPM. So just set it to 1000, turn this guy on, and you can even increase it as you're going all the way to 3000. It's kind of scary and loud. Pretty sweet. Cool, and finally it comes with a little USB cable, and in my opinion this is really not long enough. It's probably about 1/2 meter, maybe 1.5 foot, and this little plug that is a bit of a dust cover for the USB port on the side of a drill. And to be honest, it's really weird me saying my drill has USB. Anyway, I think the cable that comes with it is far too short, because the reality is when you're trying to update from a laptop, I'm assuming, where are you going to put that laptop? Maybe you're going to put it on the drill press itself, but you have to raise that up, and it just makes for a little bit of an awkward thing. This thing should be at least 2 meters. That way you can have a table next to it, like I have right here, and I can put a laptop up, update the firmware, and then we're done. So 2 little tips: make the cable longer, and also with this little rubber plug, add a little attachment and attach it to the side of here, because as soon as you take this thing off, it's going to get lost. And then what's going to happen is that dust is going to get in there, and USBs is absolutely notorious for those rails inside, for getting dust in them and it just not working. And especially when you're dealing with firmware, you want the data to be absolutely accurate and 100% have integrity, because if you're updating firmware on any machine and it's corrupted, it could break your machine. So what I do want to do is just test out this chuck guard and whether or not the machine starts with it unplugged or anything like that. And it looks like if you unplug it, comes up with a little error, which is kind of annoying because sometimes these things are genuinely in the way and you need to take them off to do whatever work you need to do. Just say if there's a piece of timber that comes up quite a bit and this thing might get in the way. So typically what you'll do, if you do have one, you'll swing it out of the way. And if we plug this thing back in, it says the chuck guard is open as an error. So you actually need to close it. So that limiting switch actually determines that this thing's closed, and there's a little notch on the bolt here. You hear it just click ever so slightly, and then you can start it up. So I wonder what happens if we open it while it's moving. It closes. And to be honest, that's quite annoying. And I'm gonna have to look up if there's a way to disable that guard. There might be something in the settings deep down, because in my opinion, I understand why it's there for, and I totally respect that. And it might be a legal thing, but for me, it's my safety and I should be in charge of it. And there you have it. Overall, super simple to assemble. You can do it by yourself. It's just a little bit heavy, so make sure you don't skip your leg days. Anywho, the feedback so far, just with the assembly and the instructions, it would be great if they updated the instructions to where that little chuck key went, because it wasted about 20 minutes of my life just trying to find out where it was. That's cool. Maybe I made the mistake and I just missed the instructions, but I went from cover to cover a few times and I couldn't immediately see it. Anyway. Another little issue I had with that USB, I think the cable should be longer as well. The cover should be attached to the machine just so you can always pop it back and you don't lose it on the floor somewhere, probably go underneath the cabinet and you'll never see it again. And for me personally, my issue is that the little plate didn't come with it. I've turned this workshop upside down and I haven't been able to find it. I even went back through some of the footage I recorded earlier and it definitely was not included. So I'm going to reach out to Carbotech and make sure that they send one over. But in the meantime, I'm going to get my calipers, measure the radius of this thing, and just 3D print a very easy insert just for now, because I don't want anything kind of falling down inside there, and I definitely don't want to use my drill bits going through a cast iron top. Cool. If you made it this far, thank you very much for sticking around. Please like, subscribe, and all those good things. And also, if you made it this far, I have a little treat for you. If you get in touch via Instagram, I've gotten some Richmond Woodworks stickers, and I'm more than happy to send them your way. Postage shouldn't be that much. It's only going to be a few dollars for me. I'll pay the postage, and I'm only limited to a small number of stickers as well. So my Instagram's just there. Please follow and then reach out and say, hey, I liked the video. It'd be great to get a sticker. And you also have to reply back once you get the sticker to where you posted it, because I really want to see and interact with you all over Instagram and also via the comments below. So thanks for sticking around this long. Your reward is a sticker. And for those that are overseas from Australia, I have yet to look up what the postage might be to your specific location. And my apologies. I'm hoping to not spend $20 to send a 50-cent or $1 sticker. If you're in Australia, easy as, but I only have a handful of stickers to give out. Anyway, hope you have a lovely time in your workshop this weekend, just like I did in mine. I'll see you all on the next one, and take care of yourselves, everyone. Bye.